Hi there, welcome to the channel or welcome back. My name is Angela and today I have a garden vlog to share with you guys. I'm growing here in my Zone 6 garden, southwestern Ohio, US. And this video will be a little compilation of everything I've worked on in my garden this past week, both a veggie garden and I'm doing a bit of landscaping. I took a trip to a local nursery this morning, kind of loaded my cart up because who can resist. I'm going to show you in this little segment what I got and what I'm planning to do with it, where it'll go on the property. Also, I have a little bit of updates from the veggie garden for you. If that sounds interesting, let's go. So before we look at all the perennials that I got for landscaping purposes, I'm going to show you what I'm working on today in the veggie garden. And if I didn't say it already, today is Tuesday, July 8th, I believe, something like that. Maybe it's the 9th. Oh my gosh, the days are running away with me, but it is definitely Tuesday, this much I know. So what I am planning to do today out here in the veggie garden is to transplant my watermelon seedlings, which if you might recall that I had started in pots over there in my little greenhouse. They're big enough now to put out, I'm pretty sure, to put out into the garden at large. So I'm going to work on that, and then if time and weather permits, I am going to try reseeding sunflowers, which I have not been successful at this year. It is looking like we're going to get some rain today. The sky's pretty overcast, maybe not till later though. So let us take a look at these watermelon seedlings. They're in these small pots here in the front, and they are doing pretty well. So I'm going to go ahead and get at least the biggest ones transplanted into these larger grow bags here and over here. And I'll probably do maybe 2 plants per, so that'll give me enough space for 10 seedlings, and I don't think I have more than that, or at least not more than that, that are ready to go. Yeah, so I'm going to get busy with that and I'll meet back up with you. So I was able to get my watermelon seedlings transplanted, and I had sown 5 different varieties, and luckily there were good enough seedlings from each of the 5 that I could get all varieties transplanted. So fingers crossed that they make it. I'm going to turn the camera around and show you those varieties. In this first grow bag here, I have 2 seedlings of Blacktail Mountain. I've grown that a number of years successfully. And then we've got Sugar Baby. There's 2 seedlings in there, and these are looking really good. They've already got their first true leaf on. So I have hopes for those, as long as I can keep the wildlife out of them. I think I'm going to cover all these with those little plastic cloches. I've got 1 seedling of baby doll watermelon, and then I don't know if you can see it, but there's a tiny little seedling that was in the pot, and I don't know if that's a watermelon seedling or a weed, so I just stuck it in there. 2 seedlings of sangria, grown that before, and 2 of crimson sweet, grown that before. So yeah, hopefully they will do well. And so that leaves me with my sunflower seeds to go in, and I'm just reusing these pots that the watermelon seedlings came in. I'm going to get the sunflowers seeded, keep them in here in the greenhouse until they're big enough to go out, and that I can hopefully keep them protected. And I did have other pots like that of watermelons that didn't germinate, like this is another crimson sweet, so I'm just going to use it for sunflowers. And same with this baby doll. I can't tell if that's something or just a weed. Either way, I'm going to reuse the pot for my sunflowers. And then I do have another seedling of sangria. I'm going to keep this one in here because it is, if that is a watermelon seedling, it's pretty good sized already. I'm going to keep it there as a backup. So that is my next order of business. I've got my sunflower seeds there, so I'm going to get started on that. And I did feel a couple of raindrops, so this is actually the perfect weather to be getting things transplanted out. There's no harsh sun, It's not incredibly hot, although it is very humid, and we might get some gentle rain hopefully. So yeah, I'm gonna get on with these sunflowers and I'll check back in. So I got the sunflower seeds in their pots, and I'm back around at the front of the house now. I want to show you what I got at the nursery today and show you the area right over here where all these are going to go. It's a little bit of a shade garden that kind of runs along a little dry-ish creek bed. Let's go. So I thought it might make more sense to show you the space first. So it's this area right here, which might not really, it might be hard to make out what that is on the camera. To maybe better define it, I'm going to take you over here to the other side. We're right in the front of the house now. So we've got this culvert that is buried underneath the gravel and stones, and you can see it goes underneath the stone walkway and comes out there where that black plastic is. It's just sort of a through pipe to allow water to keep it away from the house. So, I mean, it was set up that way long before we ever moved in, I guess when the house was built. So there's the opening. And the water tends to, when we get heavy rains, mostly come from that area. Like once it hits the ground, it pools and follows this little culvert here right down and through there, and then goes under and comes out over here on the other side. And from there, and it's never like a big flowing creek or anything. When it's really heavy rains for extended periods, it'll be like a trickle or just a very slow moving flow of water. It follows that area and kind of way down there curves around and goes into our pond, which is back over there. So it was kind of nicely designed when they were building out this land and building the house. So, but what I would like to do is to make this area just a little more attractive. And I'm still going to keep in with my theme that I'm on now of doing at least 50% native plants and maybe some non-natives that are decorative, as long as, you know, they're not invasive. But I've kind of been using this space to pile up branches that I find here and there before moving them over to our fire pit. So we've got a lot of cleanup work to do. So basically the planted areas that I want to do will be between this tree and this tree here, and going down into the little dry creek bed there, which has weeds, grasses, everything growing up in it. Leaves are piled in there. It's my goal to kind of keep that cleaned out a little bit better and make it a little bit nicer. I already have planted a couple of things in there. That is a meadow sweet. It's going to be a shrub. And then I did another one of those right over there. Those are native. So I'm trying to do as many native plants as I can. So all of this will look a little bit nicer. That is the goal. And I don't know if you guys can hear it on the camera coming through on the video or not, but we are starting to get a little bit of a drizzle here, which is like, yes, perfect after just doing some transplanting. Oh yeah, and let me go over now. I've got the plants that I bought. They're over on the other side of the house by the parking area. I kind of just unloaded them with my husband's help onto a little space over there. And once I get them over here to the planting area, after cleaning up and getting the branches and the weeds and everything out of the planting area, I'm going to kind of lay the pots out in what seems to be a pleasing arrangement before starting to plant. I have this kind of bad habit of just being the crazy plant lady and just planting things willy-nilly, and it may not be the best place for a plant, or the arrangement might not look that great. And I'm not so much doing that these days because I'm finally learning to put the right plant in the right place, and also to make something where it all kind of looks nice together. Everything plays well with each other. So I'm learning. Let me turn you around and show you the plants. So these are the plants, and I'm not going to remember the names of every one of these, but most of them I will. These three here are maidenhair ferns. I think they're native to the area or to the region. I've got two coral bells. I don't think those are native, but they do so well in a shady spot. So that's another thing I had to take into consideration when I was choosing these plants. It has to be something that thrives pretty much in full shade. This one is called a ghost fern. I thought that was so pretty. It's known for the lighter color, like silvery gray foliage. These are going to be some ground covers, and I think that this is sweet woodruff. Let's take a look. Yeah, sweet woodruff. So they only had 8, and I went ahead and bought all 8 of them just to get a nice head start on the ground cover situation. This is black mondo grass. I would have gotten a bunch of these, even though they're not necessarily native. I'm pretty sure they're not, but they are going to look so good with that dark foliage kind of playing off the lighter mosquito. I'm getting covered with mosquitoes with this moist, hot weather. It's hot and humid, so mosquitoes love that. So I went ahead and got the black mondo grass, but it was really pricey just for that one little container there. This one has really pretty lighter variegated foliage, and I don't recall what it is. It is Polynomium. That doesn't sound right, but maybe I was reading that wrong. Let's see if Polemonium Jacob's ladder. So that will be really pretty in a shady spot with that light colored foliage. And then this one here, I love the leaves on this. So pretty. That's dark green, and the shape of the leaves, they're so textury. There's a lot of texture to that, visual texture. This is called Tiarella, sugar and spice. So that is the goal. I will be working on that in the coming week or two to get that area down there looking pretty nice. And when we bought this house 12 years ago, it was pretty much overrun, and it was, kind of out here, it was a little bit of an eyesore just because it had been let go for so long. So it was a little overwhelming trying to figure out how do we, let me turn you around. So it was a little overwhelming just trying to figure out how do we even go about making this look nice without having $1 million to spend on landscaping plants, much less landscapers, just DIYing it ourselves here and there, as we could afford it. So we ended up doing, like, kind of mentally or on paper, dividing the areas around the house into different zones. And we thought, okay, this is zone A, zone B, and so forth, and just take it like one step at a time. And I feel like we've come a long way, and that little area down there that's getting planted out in the next couple of weeks might be the last eyesore type of area that's close up to the house. For spots that are out on the property or in the woods, I don't care if it's messy or what, let nature have its thing out there. But for right around the house, it was pretty important to me that things looked pleasing to the eye, tidy, intentional. So it has just taken us a while to finally get there, and I feel like we're kind of getting close. Although I hate to say that, I don't want to jinx myself. But there is actually one more spot that could use a little TLC. I'll show you what that is. So back here, this is our walkway in front of the house. I was working on this area here in the last couple of years, just getting some Pachysandra in there, hoping that it would kind of multiply like Pachysandra does. And because I didn't tend to this much last year or this year at all, I've got some weeds growing. So it's my goal to get this weeded, and I think that the Pachysandra will eventually multiply. It just takes a couple of years to get established. So that's one area that's in progress. And then the other area that I really want to work on is right in here. There's a bunch of nice stones in here and rocks, so that gives me something to work with, maybe a little rock garden. But what I would love to do is to extend out this. So here is our porch and steps. Oftentimes we come down the steps and we go right out into the yard right through there. I would love to extend this little stone walkway out just a few feet out into the yard, and I think that'll be a pretty simple project. Just some rocks, a few rocks, some sand and gravel. It'd be easy to get that done. And then, like I mentioned, this area here, kind of clean that up a little bit. It's really starting to come down now, and as much as I love hearing and seeing this rain, I'm going to head back on into the house, and I'll catch up with you guys at least once more before the end of the week, before you guys see this on Monday. So till the next segment. Hey there, it's Saturday morning, July 13th, and I am out here to hang some garlic that I harvested yesterday. I feel like I pulled it out too soon. And also it was the soil was wet because we had had some rain the night before. So like a couple of bad no-nos. I should have waited until it was fully ready, but I just couldn't. And I should have especially waited until the soil was dry. But I didn't do either of those things. But the good news is that I did not pull all the garlic out, just maybe a third or a half of it. So today I want to get it hanging up here on the porch in a covered area so that it can start curing, and I will show you what I'm working on. So on our front porch, like in the center of the porch, we have this little overhang thing, and what I did a couple of years ago was to put some long screws up there along each side, and I used those, other than to hang little decoration things, I used those to hang my onions and garlic after harvesting. So the garlic that I harvested yesterday kind of went nuts. I didn't even do it very gently. I was just kind of yanking them out of the ground. I just got carried away. So here they are. Some of them look really, really good, and then a couple of them just too small. So I am going to get those hanging today. So in case you're wondering, this is hardneck garlic. It's the only one that I really grow anymore. I just keep reseeding from my harvest every year. What I do, I just take some twine and bunch it all, like pick out like a smaller group. Like all of these here, I'll just divide into 2 little groups. And then I bundle it all up here at the soft, pliable green ends, and just tie that all together in a tight knot. And then I use that to hang them. Nothing too complicated. I just tie it real tight down here, and then make another little knot up here at the top of the strings, at the loose end of the string, and then I have a little loop I can hang it by. Sometimes I just hang it right from the greenery here, and this little tight pinch there is enough to just stick right on top of the nail. And there you go. I've got the first bunch there and the second bunch there. One thing that we run into when I'm using these center screws here is that if we want to walk over to the other side of the porch where we have like a little chaise lounge and our grills over there, we bump our heads on this. So I try to save these center center hooks for shorter things like onions, usually where I can really hang them close up to the rafter there. And that might be all I do out here this morning. I've got to run up to a local farm to pick up some fruit that we ordered from them earlier in the week. They do berries, cherries, peaches by the half bushel. So I ordered 10 pounds of cherries and a half bushel of peaches. And the way that I'm going to do those, like preserve, I'm kind of in my mind thinking I'm going to split it into the peaches and the cherries, split them into 3 parts equal. 1/3 for fresh eating, 1 part for freezing, and then canning the other third. So I might be spending the rest of this Saturday evening over the stove. We'll see. I will let you guys know. Maybe I'll take you along with me. I am not the most experienced canner in the world. I've only done it a handful of times, but I'm trying to each year learn a little bit, like become a little more proficient in it, a little less nervous. Like I haven't done it enough that I still don't feel like a little bit nervous when I do it. So anyway, I will catch up with you later on today. I just got back from the farm where I picked up my peaches and cherries. It's called Blooms and Berries. I'll leave a link to them below in case you're somewhere in the southwestern Ohio area. They are worth checking out. It's kind of like an adventure going to visit their farm. There's play activities for the kids. They do a corn maze and a sunflower show in the fall. It's really kind of a cool place, but I'm gonna flip you around and show you what I got there. So this is a half bushel of peaches. I've already taken maybe 5 or 6 out that I want to take to my mom's this weekend. And 10 pounds of cherries, minus some that I've already eaten because who can resist, and a little bag full to also take to my mom. And I did pick up a couple other things while I was out there, a couple of plants because I can't resist. And they do, at the farm, they do their own baking. They bake pies and all kinds of breads. So I got a loaf of zucchini bread to bring along with me to visit my mom. And some homemade crackers. They even bake their own crackers there. So we're already eating those. Let's go outside and I'll show you the plants that I got. So I just picked up 2 plants when I was out at Blooms and Berries. I'll show you what those are. When I bring in new plants, I usually stick them right in this area until planting just so they can have some shade. So they're both grasses, and this is so cool. I like how the blades are kind of curly, and I feel like as they dry out, go dormant for the winter, will make nice cut arrangements. It's called Juncus effusus spiral rush. It's a perennial. And I don't know if this needs sun or shade, but I'm guessing sun, but the tag didn't say, surprisingly, so I'm going to have to look that one up. And the other one that I got, this one's bigger, and I don't know if it probably will be bigger at full growth than that other grass. This one definitely needs sun, and it's called Graceful Grasses Fireworks, but the Latin name is Pennisetum, setaceum, Rubrum. I know I just butchered that. I'll try to put that down below in case you're interested, but I really like how, I guess those are the seed heads, they're turning purple color. I guess as it matures or slowly starts dying off for the fall and winter. It's so pretty, and some of the blades are even purple. Thought that was really lovely. And it says it's going to get 24 to 30 inches tall. Let's look at this other one again real quick. I don't know if that text is showing up. So this is going to get 2 to 3 feet tall. So about the same height. There we go. But it really, this one's suited for bogs, wetlands, and peat gardens. I definitely have some wetland areas where this could go, but maybe not if it needs full sun. So I will have to look that up and see. And I'm going to take one more look over in the veggie garden, and then I will probably wrap it up for this week's garden vlog, just because I will be going out of town, like I have mentioned, to visit my mom. And by the time you guys see this, I'll probably be back. I hate leaving my garden, even if it's only for 2 days. Are you guys like that? So there's not too many new developments over here, and I am so thrilled that my basil plants are doing so well. Surprisingly, as easy as it is to grow, some years I do struggle with it. And of course you saw that I have pulled out about a third or half of my garlic from this bed here. Once I get the rest of it out, I will of course reseed there. With what, I am not sure yet. To be determined. I pulled off my first tomato yesterday, and it was one of these sunrise bumblebees. Let's see, they're pretty big cherry tomatoes or grape tomatoes, yellow at maturity. It was really tasty. Not as good as my sun golds, but still really, really flavorful. A couple of my plants I'm just going to pull out. They have just failed, and I'll use the space for something else. And I wanted to show you guys, I have had these weeds popping up all over, particularly in this tomato bed here, but then I also found a bunch of them over on the far side of the property behind the shed, and I looked it up. It is an invasive weed, and it's called Tree of Heaven, common name, but there's also a bunch of other common names. I'll put it up on the screen or down below, but it is known to be like vigorously invasive, like one of the worst invasives, and I can definitely attest to that. It seems like they just keep popping up, like I can't fully get rid of it, so it's something to keep an eye on. My borage plants here are doing really well. Can't wait till they start getting their flowers. Everything seems so stunted and behind this year. I don't know, I guess it's just one of those years. And I'm going to be harvesting potatoes soon. The foliage is dying back, and I think the probably Japanese beetles or something are getting to it. I don't know how big the potatoes will be. Probably not great, but and I'll get something else growing up in those grow bags, maybe some beets or something like that. You guys hear those walnuts falling down? They're hitting, I think they're hitting the roof of the shed here. They're so loud. I'd hate to be bonked in the head by one of those. And my watermelons are still here, glad to report. Still small, but still here. So that's what matters at this point. So that is the state of the garden. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Oh yeah, let me show you this too. This is a fish pepper that I bought the plant from a local nursery, a greenhouse. But I like how the peppers are variegated. I've never grown fish pepper before. But the leaves are variegated unless that is some kind of a problem going on with the plant. I don't know if that's a feature or a bug. But the peppers have some stripes on them. That's kind of neat. Oh yeah, and one more thing before I wrap it up. I did go ahead and purchase some sheets of cardboard. I'm kind of sorry that I did though, because They're 3x4, which I bought 2 packs of 4, just because I really want to get the pathways mulched over and make it look a little nicer here. But I would not do this again, just because they were wrapped in so much plastic when they shipped here. And the whole reason I'm doing cardboard is to be a little more environmentally friendly. And I felt so guilty unwrapping all the plastic off of these packages. So I'm just going to go back to becoming a cardboard scavenger, getting it wherever I can find it to finish up these pathway areas. And then of course mulch is gonna go over the cardboard, of course. And that is about it for this week's vlog. Let me know what you're working on in your garden, what's doing well for you this year, what's your favorite flower that you're growing, and do you have any local farms or farm stands that you just love? Share that with us below if you don't mind. And thanks so much for watching. I'm grateful that you are hanging out with me in my garden, and I will catch up with you next week.